Thank you for purchasing the Mission Gemini 2, the world's first stereo, full-range amplified speaker with integrated USB and wireless for use with modelers and software-based guitar systems. I'm one of the designers of the Gemini 2, and in this video I'm going to walk you through the various controls and input and output options for connecting your Gemini to hardware modelers, PCs, Macs and mobile devices. For this tutorial I'm going to be using a Gemini 2 Studio Edition, as this has all the available options. If you have a different model without some of these options, you can just skip through that section of the video. I've included a list of titles for the different sections in the description below. Section 1. Power. The Mission Gemini 2 is an active speaker, which means it includes its own internal power amplifiers. It should be connected to a line-level device such as a modeler, preamp or computer. The active Geminis cannot be used as passive speakers and should not be connected to external power amplifiers. Mission has a range of passive speakers available if you wish to use an external power amplifier. Connecting an active Gemini to an external power amp or guitar tube amplifier may seriously damage the speaker and/or the amplifier, so don't do it. Your active Gemini should be connected to wall power to operate. First, connect the 3-pin IEC power connector end of the supplied power cable to the power receptacle on the rear. Depending on your country, your Mission Gemini may include the V-Lock power cable locking system. This helps ensure the power cable is correctly inserted and does not accidentally become disconnected. Align the pins and push the connector fully into the receptacle until the yellow pin on the connector clicks into place. To remove the cable, first depress the yellow pin and hold it in while gently removing the connector. A standard IEC cable can be used in place of the V-Lock cable if required, but it will not lock. Replacement V-Lock cables are available from Mission. Your Gemini will have been supplied with a country-specific AC power cable. If you plan on using the unit in a country with different wall power outlets, alternative power cables can be purchased from Mission. Gemini power supplies are auto voltage detecting and do not require any changes to operate in different countries other than using the correct power cable. It's not necessary to use transformers or similar converters. After connecting the power cable to wall power, press the power switch to the position on. A short pop from the speakers may be heard. This only happens when first turning on the power and is completely normal. To turn the unit off, press the power switch to the off position. If your Gemini does not power on, check the power cable is correctly inserted. If there has been a power surge or power supply fault, check the fuses. Remove the fuse drawer and check that the fuses are good. There are 2 fuses, one for the live side and one for the neutral. If either or both are blown, then the unit will not power on. Fuses are 10 amp for the Gemini 2 and 5 amp for the Gemini 1. Replacement fuses are available from Mission. When replacing fuses, ensure that the fuse drawer is correctly oriented or the unit will not power on. Section 2. The I/O panel. The I/O panel is in the center rear of the cabinet and contains all the audio connectors and controls for operating your Gemini. Before we make the connections, let's briefly review the function of each, and then we'll go into more detail once we connect up. Level control. The level knob controls the power level or volume of the speaker. Turn clockwise to increase the volume and counterclockwise to decrease the volume. M power control. The M power knob controls the high frequency level. At fully clockwise, the frequency response will be flat. Turn counterclockwise toward the cab position to reduce the high frequency driver output. Stereo switch. The stereo switch selects stereo or mono operation. Select stereo when connecting separate left and right channels, or mono when connecting a single mono channel. Ground switch. The ground switch selects the 0-volt reference source for the amplifier. Panel references to the device connected via input 1. AC references to the AC wall power ground. In most cases, this should be set to panel so that Gemini shares the same reference as your connected device. If you have problems with hum from ground loops, or if you're using the Gemini with wireless only, try selecting AC. This switch is not present on all models, so don't worry if you don't see it on yours. Bluetooth. This illuminated switch is used for pairing to a Bluetooth audio device. Press and hold the switch until it flashes blue to indicate pairing mode. Input 1. This input connects to the line level audio output from your preamp or modeling device. Stereo out. This output reroutes the stereo right channel to a second Gemini 2 when using two together. USB guitar in. Connect a guitar or other instrument here when using the Gemini with a computer as a USB audio interface for recording. USB connector. Connect to a Mac or Windows computer to use the Gemini as a USB audio interface for recording or playing back recorded music. Section 3. Analog stereo connection. The Gemini 2 supports 4 stereo with separate left and right channels in a single cabinet, which is great for utilizing stereo effects and parallel signal chains in modeling devices such as from Line 6, Kemper, Headrush, and Fractal audio systems. Stereo connection requires a 1/4-inch TRS connection to input 1. If your device has separate 1/4-inch TS or XLR connections for the left and right channel, you'll need to use a Y cable, sometimes called a TRS insert cable, to make the connections. The Gemini 2 stereo signal cable is available from Mission for this purpose. Connect the cable to the left and right line level outputs from your modeling device. Connect the 1/4-inch TRS plug to input 1 on the Gemini. Switch the stereo selector switch to stereo and the ground switch, if present, to panel. Check that any ground on the modeler line out is not lifted. The Gemini will reference to the device connected via input 1. If the ground is lifted on that device, it may cause hum or other noise. If your Gemini is fitted with the ground selector switch, you can try both positions to see which one gives the lowest noise. Section 4. Startup. Turn the level and M power controls fully counterclockwise. Power on the modeler. Wait for the modeler to boot up and then power on the Gemini. turn the M-Power control fully clockwise to flat and turn the level control to about 9 o'clock. Select a preset with a cabinet simulator or impulse response and make sure it is enabled. Begin playing and check for audio from both speakers. If the audio clips, reduce the output level from the modeler and increase the volume using the level control on the Gemini. Section 5. Analog mono connection. When using a mono source, the Gemini amps can be bridged so that both speakers are active. For mono connection, input 1 can accept either an XLR or a 1/4 inch TS connector. Connect the cable to mono line level output from your modeling device. Connect the 1/4 inch TS or XLR plug to input 1 on the Gemini. Switch the stereo selector switch to mono and the ground switch, if present, to panel. Follow the instructions in section 4, Startup. Section 6, USB connection. Your Gemini 2 includes a studio quality 192 kHz bit perfect USB audio interface that can be used for playing recorded audio or connecting to an audio workstation for recording and for use with computer software modelers. The interface is class compliant and no special drivers are needed for connection to Mac OS X or Windows 10 computers. Your Gemini USB audio can also be connected to an iOS device using an Apple Lightning to USB camera adapter. Connect your Mac or PC to the Gemini USB interface using the USB A to B cable provided. Turn on the Gemini as we covered in section 4, Startup. The audio interface should appear as XMOS USB audio or X-Core USB audio depending on your OS version. If it does not show up, check that you have the latest version of your operating system and that recent updates have been applied. For Windows PCs older than Windows 10, a driver can be downloaded from missionengineering.com. An iOS device such as an iPad or iPhone can be connected to the USB interface using an Apple Lightning to USB camera adapter. Connect the adapter to the Lightning connector on the iOS device. Connect the camera adapter to the USB port on the rear of the Gemini. If you do not have a camera adapter available and just wish to play audio from your iOS device through your Gemini, you can also use the Apple Lightning to headphone adapter. Connect the adapter to the Lightning connector on your iOS device. Then connect the adapter to input 1 on the Gemini using a 1/8 inch to 1/4 inch TRS adapter cable. Section 7. Recording with USB. As well as playing back computer audio, you can also use the Gemini USB audio interface for recording or live playing. An extended trial version of SCUFM S-Gear is included on the USB key that is supplied with your Gemini. You can use this to experiment using computer-based modeling. Follow the instructions in section 6 to connect your computer to the USB audio interface. Connect your guitar or other instrument to the USB guitar in connector with a 1/4 inch TS instrument cable. Only connect an instrument to this input. Don't try to connect line level or power level devices to this input, as damage may occur. This input is for connecting an instrument to the USB audio interface only. Select the XMOS USB audio inputs as the audio inputs in your operating system and audio software. Section 8. Multiple Geminis. Two Gemini 2 units can be used together for applications where a wide stereo spread or increased SPL are required. When connecting an external modeling device or preamp, it's recommended to send the left and right channels separately to the input 1 connections. When using the USB or wireless audio with two Geminis, the digital audio should be connected to the left channel. Use a 1/4-inch TS cable to connect the stereo out from the left speaker to input 1 on the right speaker. Section 9. Bluetooth Wireless. Some Gemini models are equipped with Bluetooth wireless audio. To connect via the wireless connection, after powering on the Gemini, press and hold down the Bluetooth button until the blue LED begins to flash. It is now in pairing mode. Search for Bluetooth connections on your device. The Gemini will appear as Gemini _ and 4 digits. To avoid unintended connection of the Gemini audio to a phone or other wireless device, Gemini will not automatically reconnect to a paired device when powered on. It's necessary to hold down the Bluetooth button and reconnect the device anytime the Gemini is power cycled. In most cases, the audio quality of USB audio is somewhat better than that of Bluetooth wireless audio. When the highest quality and most reliable connection is required, it's recommended to use the USB audio where practical. This concludes the Mission Gemini 2 video user guide. For further information, I recommend reading the printed user guides that came with your Gemini. These can also be downloaded from the Mission website at missionengineering.com/support. The site also includes an FAQ with answers to some common questions. I also have a YouTube channel that includes tutorials and demos of Mission products. I especially recommend watching the Mission Gemini 10 Things in 10 Minutes video, which covers some details about how the Geminis are made, as well as answering some more user questions. Thanks for watching.